I'll tell you one thing that just doesn't feel like a great plan with the Tigers is that is earmark money for Skubal, which I'm sure that they would have done. And look, they were apparently or reportedly trying to negotiate with Boras, just didn't return calls, which is a little bit, okay, why wouldn't you return calls? Because he wants the fight. He wants the arbitration. He wants to break the system. And it'll be very self-serving for him if they do, because it's trying to essentially force free agency before guys are free agents. However, the one thing, if you have money earmarked for Skubal and you don't spend it on somebody else when you lose him, that to me is, just unforgivable. You have to try and strengthen your team as much as possible. So if you budgeted $40 million or $35 million for Skubal over 5 years and he walks, take that money and make your baseball team better. What's your plan B? And your plan B should be on the open market, adding to the roster. And if it sucks losing Skubal, but just keep in mind, through Skubal's entire career, teams that didn't have Tarik Skubal won the World Series. So you try to become one of those teams. Now, with that said, here's
like the Dodgers?
Well, less the Dodgers. ESPN has their experts making predictions for the top prospects in the game for the coming season. And for their AL top prospect predictions, at the top of the list of the AL top prospects is Kevin McGonigal. And here is their prediction for this season for Kevin McGonigal. Tiger shortstop prospect Kevin McGonigal got a crash course at third base in the Arizona Fall League and in spring training. He'll continue to play on the left side of the infield. No matter where he plays, McGonigal will be a fixture in the Tigers' everyday lineup by mid-season and make an immediate impact. And on a lot of days, he'll remind A.J. Hinch of another player he once managed, Alex Bregman. The guy is really good at so many things: command of the strike zone, bat speed, base running. His triple slash line in the AFL hinted at greatness: 362, 500, and 710. That is from Buster Olney. Well, that would work.
Yeah.
I'd take that.
Look, there's a reason Kevin McGonigal is the number 2 rated prospect in all of baseball, and it's because he can hit. He can flat out hit. Finding the right position for him, whether it's shortstop or third base, I mean, both of those, actually, I'm kind of encouraged because I've read a lot of reports that say that he can play shortstop. Okay, great. He doesn't need to be this slick fielder. If he's gonna be this guy that just hits and ends up with an OPS over 800 and then in his peak years it's well over 900 or whatever, great. Then that's a stud. That's somebody you got, and good for you for identifying that and implementing it. But it's also a guy that has yet to play a single game at AAA.
Yep.
Was limited in what he played last year. So I have high hopes for him. We'll see how he does in spring training this year. If he looks physically more mature, if he looks like he's can't miss, ready to go, then he's got a chance to make the roster. I would be surprised if he made the roster out of spring training, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's called up early in the season because he's got the talent. But he's got to prove he can hit. And the same thing goes for Max Clark. Max Clark seems like he's just a half step behind McGonigal in his arrival to Major League Baseball. It's another guy who hasn't played at the AAA level yet, but these guys are the future, along with Bryce Rayner, who I don't know where he's gonna start next year because he only played like 20 games at Lakeland before he got hurt, diving back to first base. But he really made an impression on people, drawing walks, doesn't strike out a bunch, hits for power, and has that frame, and he looks years older than what he is. So, I mean, is he going to start the high A ball next year, and is he going to matriculate quickly? They've got some really high-end prospects, but you just don't know what they're at until they get to the levels, and then you can project it better.
In the meantime, there is news that the Tigers will move away from Main Street Sports, which is the parent company of FanDuel. It's not clear yet what that means. I did do a little research just to make sure I knew this. Jason Benetti, the TV play-by-play voice, works for the Tigers organization. not for the network. So we can assume, I don't know if it's a safe assumption, that Benetti and Dirks and that all the guys that cycle through there will stay with the TV broadcast wherever it lands.
That is my understanding.
Yep.
And Morosi tried to explain what that could look like this morning. And it sounds like, for baseball anyway, that it's not going to be too different to figure out what it is. Like there'll be, if you have, let's say Comcast, for instance, that there'll be a dedicated channel locally for that. If you to just punch into your remote and there you have it. With smart TVs, if you have a streaming service, you'll be easily enough to find it. But it seems like it won't be that much more difficult than what it already is. It's just figuring out what the other channel is. But for Red Wings and Pistons, I don't know.
I guess, Kang, you saw today that the Red Wings and Pistons broadcasts are safe through the end of this year?
Yeah, that's what I read. So we shouldn't have that disrupted this regular season, at least.
Good. 248-539-9797. Let's go to Tim on a cell. Hi, Tim.
Hi. Thanks, guys, for taking the call. Your comment about using money that you would have used for paying Skubal being used for some other free agent players.
Yeah.
That's a great idea. I would have one caveat to that.
Okay.
I would not chase players who have the same agent as Skubal. This guy doesn't negotiate. I don't want to deal with him. I would avoid. I would tell players who are free agent, nope, can't look at you. And he might be the right player, but I would sacrifice that potential player being on our team and in the avoidance of that. And I would talk about it with the owners. I wouldn't try to create a conspiracy because that there's some.
Well, I mean, you're saying you're talking about other owners, and you are talking about collusion, and you can't do that. If you want to have a policy where you don't deal with Scott Boras clients because of Scott Boras, so be it. You can go ahead and have that stance, and that's fine, though? To each their own. But
Tim's talking about something that kind of just happened, and that was Boras shopped around Alex Bregman. He signed with Boston last year, made sure there was an out after 1 year, immediately exercised the out, started shopping him around again. Boras' client went to the highest bidder in Chicago. Bregman was gone. Then Boras swooped into Boston and said, how about you sign my Ranger Suarez, when they were getting killed in the local media. And here comes Boras to the rescue with his another client that Boston signs. And I can sort of understand where Tim is coming from. You can't talk to other owners about it. And you don't want to have, look, they're building a reputation of being a cheap organization. And I hate to see it because I've been patient and talked about this stuff for a long time. But trading Skubal now or spending the Skubal money on other players, if they're really waiting on this $13 million to find out what's going to happen while guys are getting snatched up elsewhere. I kind of wonder if they've got something in place with a Framber Valdez or something like that. They're just waiting for the outcome of this arbitration hearing. This just doesn't feel like a great way to do business. Should the $13 million really matter that much? Because even if you sign Skubal, even if you get Skubal, even if you lose the Skubal case and have to pay him $32 million, they still could use another arm, right?
Yes. Well, for this year, I don't know if they need necessarily another starting pitcher, but if they were to get one, it gives them more options of what to do with some of the other guys on the roster, like Melton, for instance.
Yeah,
it delays him from being a starter for another season. But I want to do it because I want to get ahead of next year. Because if I know I'm not going to have Skubal for next year, why not get one of these guys, Bassett
right
or Valdez or whoever, get them to a longer contract, more than 1 year being longer, whether it's 2 or 3 years, so that when I don't have Skubal, I already have a replacement, even though it's not Skubal. It's somebody that's hopefully going to give you close to 200 innings.
One note, the Tiger baseball will be on 97.1 The Ticket this year.
This is true.
That's something you can count on. It is Karsch and Anderson on 97.1.